I got this idea from uh, on one of my on one of my earlier videos. Somebody commented and referred me to a detransition study, and when I looked into it, I did email them. She just never ever got back to me. I'm thinking about doing it again, but yeah. So, uh, and the little flyer thing on the ad was saying like, oh, when you do the survey, here's one of the things that I I would want you to answer, and that was like did your sexuality change while you were doing these cross sex hormones? And that is very curious. Like, I was under the impression that, sexuality never changes. It's just you're born this way, and hormones don't really change anything about that. But uh, it, I don't. I was trying to look it up. I don't believe that anybody really has any scientific evidence yet to support that hormones kind of, or changing your hormones changes your sexuality. And but I would say that seems to be some amount of fluidity with sexuality, especially in women, less biological men. But in any case, what I'm answering here is like, did my sexuality change? Uh, while I was taking testosterone, and I I don't know. It's hard to say because I was also a teenager at the same time, and you're as a teenager you're questioning this stuff and you're trying to figure it out. So it's really hard for me to say like, oh, before testosterone I was exclusively into this, and then when I went on to the hormonal replacement therapy, I was suddenly into this exclusively or something. Uh, but while I was like reading into it, it's like some people were like, oh, I'm biologically female, and then I took testosterone, and then nothing really changed much. Nothing really like, prominent, to write home about. Nothing of that nature happened to me. But it seems like, according to this one um, website I was reading, that I think it's like more common with um, trans women. I don't know. Sometimes I just forget words, but yeah, trans women seem to get more fluctuating, uh, changes in their sexuality, but I don't know. I mean, it was just like one small study, so, and I think most of it's anecdotal evidence, so it's not really, solid evidence to anything. So I'm kind of in the camp of not really believing it. That being said, I'm still going to try to answer this question. So I have notes, but I don't think I'm really going to use them. I've just been thinking about like, I can, I'll tell you a story, I suppose, about like how mine changed a little bit over time, kind of. Uh, oh, I was gonna say something. There's a bug. I was gonna say something else. It was gonna be uh, that it seems like when it comes to estrogen, like, uh, depending on your estrogen levels, if they're like higher, I guess, healthy high, but not high enough to get you like breast cancer or something, but I'm saying like high enough to the point where you're like, I don't mind either gender, either sex. Like, it doesn't really matter to me as long as everything feels right. That seems to be the case, but I don't really know. For me, uh, I don't know. I guess I'll start out with before testosterone. I I only had like mm, I can't say I had any sexual relations with exclusively women. It was more like I had, and I wouldn't say it was intimate stuff because intimate to me feels like really loving, you know? It's like we love each other and we're like getting intimate and it doesn't have to be sexual. Uh, I mean more like, just kind of physical stuff, but not, and kind of sexual, but not like actual, you know? It was just mostly just, smooching, I suppose. Um, and that's all I had, like exclusively with women, and all any encounter that I would have was with women. And I know that well, I don't know for sure, but I'm definitely speculating that one of my childhood friends, I mentioned her a little bit before. She she kind of bullied me a little bit. Uh, and I believe she bullied me a little bit because she thought I was lesbian. She didn't make it obvious. I don't think we knew the words yet, but she just like, hello boy, again. Yeah, she I don't know. There. I mean, looking back, it seems like uh, that's what caused the bullying. I don't think she would have done what she did if she thought I was like normal. And yeah, so I grew up being like, women are fine. I wouldn't label myself at that time lesbian, but I guess I was in a way more comfortable around women. I don't know. I never had any like fantasies, you know. It was just, I don't know. It was like, if it happens, it happens. That kind of lackadaisical, like whatever. I don't know, Gone with the Wind sort of thing. Not the movie, but you know what I mean, right? But let me think. Uh, and then I think that when it came to testosterone, like I feel like everybody knows at this point, but when it comes to testosterone, your libido goes up, and you're a lot more horny and whatnot, and also more visual things you know are quite arousing, that sort of stuff. And I would say uh that sort of, I guess, like more things interested me, I suppose. So I think when it came to me being like more bisexual, that was like a little bit more pronounced. Hello, sun. Oh, Jesus. Not my sun. Hello, sun. The bright sun. Um, I picked a lovely spot today. Um, Not that it's been any different. You've seen the same background a couple times, but yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to say because I know I have consistently over my childhood and teenage years have had um, those fantasies, like I said, um, with just men. My straight male crushes. It's what the majority of them were. I mean, sometimes I would dream of like you know something a little bit more. I keep on wanting to say intimate, but you know what I mean. Something more, a little bit more physical with women. I would dream of it sometimes. Yeah, I guess I would just say that the short answer is I became a little bit more bisexual than I had been before. And then when I got off of testosterone, it was like, no, I guess when I got off of testosterone, it was more like I still identified as, or no, wait, I'm getting my timeline mixed up in my head. I mean, I identified as bisexual for a really long time, and then I think when I got off of testosterone, it was that kind of that kind of bisexual. I just kind of drifted off, and I kind of went more with heterosexual, I suppose. But it's not like super strict or anything. Like like I said before, I think there's some fluidity, especially with women and estrogen. I don't want to box myself into the heterosexual category. Like I think I could very well be in a relationship with a woman, but in any case, this is a little weird for me to mention. I wrote it down thinking like I know this is true for me, but it'd be a little weird talking about it. What I mean, I think all of us, almost all of us, have watched some, porn in our lives. And while I was on testosterone, I was I was exclusively going into like gay and lesbian porn. That's what I was getting into, and it's kind of interesting to me how uh, I went from that turns me on to after getting off testosterone. I don't really have any interest in this. Doesn't get me off at all. Before I detransitioned, that's right. I think I started. I was still really questioning or not my gender, my sexuality, and being uh, I didn't think this was the cause, but now that I think back on it, I think that when I was, not getting any attention from anybody, like girls didn't seem to be interested in me because I thought I was gay. Guys weren't interested in me because they were, straight, so it didn't add up. And so, and I wasn't interested in my dating pool, so therefore I just kind of, well, on top of that too, I was like, I've said it before in another video, I don't remember which one, but I was saying about how, I was digressing a little bit, but I was saying about how my friends, uh, were really sexual people and they would be flaunting their sexuality a lot. And there's nothing wrong with that, but me at the time, I was like, oh, gross. So, and I've always kind of had this weird relationship with my sexuality in a way. I would never flaunt it in the same way, and I would kind of hide it from myself in a way. Like it would kind of be something that I would just exclusively experience. I wouldn't try to find other people to fulfill something for me. I would just keep it in, and I would never express any interest. I would never flirt with anybody. It would just I just kept to myself, and that was it. Probably because I had a lot of insecurities, thinking I'm an ugly coven witch or something. Because of those behaviors of what I was doing, hiding my own sexuality from everybody else around me, sometimes even to myself, I was like, oh, then therefore I must be asexual. And even while I was on testosterone, I concluded that to myself. And, it worked for a while. I am so itchy, oh my god. And then at some point, I wish I had my notebooks, but I had to throw them all away, which is something I keep forgetting to mention. It's I did write all this detransition stuff down while it was happening to me, but when I first moved out of my house, it was just my cats incidentally peed on them, and I didn't know how to clean it, so I just threw them away. And I also kind of wanted an excuse to throw them away because I was, done with that part of my life. So, I was just trying to, stuff it under the rug, basically, so to speak. Yeah, so at one point, my skin is crawling. I don't know. I got bit by a mosquito last night on my hand, and now my skin's crawling. At some point, I was I was still attracted to people, and I mean, I could have been, I guess, if I wanted to be really extra special, I could have I guess labeled myself like asexual, but like totally a romantic of some kind. But instead I went to a more sensible route and called myself a demisexual, which, if I remember correctly, it's where you don't feel sexual attraction to someone until there's like a relationship between you. And then at one point I found sapiosexual, which everybody makes fun of on dating apps. But I never identified it as that. I thought that was a little bit too much, even for me at the time. And so I went with that, and I felt like that worked because, like, I mean, the sexual fantasies and stuff would only prop up, uh, you know, after getting a crush on somebody. So that made me think that I was a little bit more special with it. This is kind of irrelevant, but yeah, uh, going with the whole, I was very secretive uh, about my sexuality. Like, I would only, I would never express it through, like, my body or, my speech. I would only do it in drawings and writing. That was the exclusive thing I would only do, and that was something that was my only release valve for like my testosterone, sexual frustration sort of stuff. And that was okay. It worked, I guess. And then going back to the other thing that I was saying about not really being attracted to anybody that was on my, how did I even fucking say it? On my list, I suppose, what I was meant to be. Like, this was my group. I Because of my inability to attract anyone, and they weren't really attracted to me. Like I just kind of glossed over was the sexual frustration and uh you know not being touched, not being intimate with anybody. It it drains your soul, and that contributed to my depression, which both of them also contributed to detransitioning altogether. Testosterone just put a bunch of pressure uh, on my sexuality, and there was nothing to release it in any way. So, and then being on estrogen, there's a little bit less pressure. There's still pressure, of course, but there's less pressure because all women still have a level of testosterone. If they didn't, they'd probably never have sex. But yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much it. I still don't really think that like my sexuality like really changed, or my sexual orientation changed at all. Like, I think it was mostly just me being a teenager and going through the motions, I suppose. But I would say I've been pretty consistently mostly heterosexual, and just testosterone seemed to just, I don't know, I feel like testosterone kind of made it more like you're more into men, kind of. But whatever. Anyway, that's my story. I don't really have much to say on that. So anyway, I'll see y'all next week. I think I have one little thing to add to what I was saying in the beginning of the video. That I'm thinking that if it is true that sexuality does change after a while, that like mine probably didn't change that much because I was only on testosterone for a year and a half, and I keep on thinking some people in my comment section, like have mentioned Buck Angel, and I mean I knew about him before, but these kind people finally like inspired me to actually look some things up, and I guess I did some investigating. I looked at two of his interviews, or no, one interview and just a video made by him exclusively, and then uh, I guess I looked into just to see what was going on. I looked into his porn days, and in the very beginning of these videos, it would always be like a kind of like an interview type thing, and a guy off screen would be like, "So, like, what's your deal?" basically, and then Buck Angel would say like, "Oh, I'm bisexual," and that part was interesting because on the interview he was saying like he was before he transitioned he was a lesbian, and I just kind of and then it's just kind of interesting how it went from like you went from lesbian to bisexual, and he's been trans for what was it, like 20 something odd years. I don't remember exactly, but a long time versus my little 1.5 years. Like I don't think I had enough time to really and because I'm not trans unlike him, it was like it's different. That's something I was thinking about, and it does kind of, in that light, it does seem real, but I don't know. I'm not gonna say definitively left or right, but I'll say that I have an open mind, and I am willing to be convinced. I think that's it. So, actual bye.